All right, you're not gonna believe this, but the average person wastes 2.1 hours a day to distractions and interruptions. That's over 10 hours a week if you work Monday through Friday. What if you could get those 10 hours back? What would you do with an extra 10 hours a week? Would you spend more time with your family, go to the gym, or spend more time starting and growing a business? I ask that because most people struggle to focus. And the ability to focus is trainable like a muscle. You just need to have the right habits and practices to strengthen it. And if you do it right, you'll be able to get more done in a day than what most people can accomplish in a week. In this video, I want to share with you the 4 habits that I've used to build multiple 6- and 7-figure online businesses over the last 5 years. Now, the 4th habit I'm really excited to share because I just started using this one. And I'll tell you right now, this habit is going to allow me to stick to the other 3 habits so much more effectively. So make sure to stick around for that one because without it, you're much more likely to not stick to the other 3 habits. All right, let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, so the first habit is planning your week every single Sunday. Every Sunday, I look at my week ahead and I plan these 4 things. So to show you, I'm gonna jump over into my computer and let's go through it. All right, so I'm on my computer and I wanna show you the first thing that I plan every single week is actually my workout times. Okay, and right now what I found that works really well for me is I'll work out on Tuesday, Thursday mornings, and then I'll work out also on the weekends. And the reason for that is I like to work, just to let you know, but that gives me more time Monday, Wednesday, Friday to work, right? But if I have a workout that's an hour long, I gotta drive there, it can really disrupt my flow. So what I found that works really well for me is I work out less frequently on the week, and in the weekend, I do both days I work out. So that's the first thing that I'll plan. I'll also plan, it's not in this calendar because I'm kind of further ahead, but I'll also plan out times that I'll go to a sauna, ice bath, recovery, stretch, stuff like that. Typically what we'll do is Claire, my girlfriend and I, will do it on a Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, and then we'll do it also on like Tuesday. As you can see, I'm about to talk about this in a second, but Tuesday is when I film my content. So end of day, I'm tired because I've given so much energy that I'm like, let's go do recovery stuff. Right? So I'll typically plan both of those things first before I get into the nitpicky stuff of business. Okay. So once I've planned that, the second thing that I'm going to plan is I'm going to plan my deep work time. Okay. Deep work is essentially when I'm like working on a project. It's really hard to try to get a project done in between calls. Do not do that. I'm going to tell you right now, do not do that. Batch off big, heavy tasks. Okay, for example, in here, you can kind of already see I have all this space and I actually don't take any calls before noon or 12:30, except for like sales team calls. I'll have a short call. But my goal, all right, this is my goal. I'm not perfect by any means, but I will say like I do my best to try not to take any calls before 12 or 12:30. And then the morning is my time for deep work. So there's a lot of space right now you can see on Monday and on Wednesday and on Friday and really on Thursday too. This is kind of a brainstorming section where I just like keep open. But all of that gives me at least 2 to 3 hours that I can plug in these deep work projects. So for instance, if I'm working on updating my website, I'm not gonna try to do that in between these like time blocks. If I have an hour, I'm not gonna try to put something in that hour block because I know it's gonna take me time to switch from one task to another. I might be hungry. I might have to go to the bathroom. I might have to let my dog out. And if I don't have a long, chunk of time to really focus on a task, it's not going to get done. Okay. So I go through, if it's Sunday, let's say that this is next week, and I want to update my website. I'm going to block off like at least this whole entire chunk of time and just be like, update website. And you're going to get way more done when you do this. Instead of saying, oh, I'm going to update my website over the month in between calls. Don't do that. Just be like, I'm going to update my website and it's going to be from start to finish done in that time block period. Okay. That's the second thing that I will plan every single week. Number 3, the third thing that I'm going to plan, and I already have it actually planned in here, is I have my content filming in this bluish section here. So for me, I do this full time. So I realize that some of you guys like who are watching this video, you might not be full-time entrepreneurs. You might not work for yourself. So yours is going to look different. Okay. But for me, a big part of my job at this stage, because I've really hired a team to take over sales, to take over a lot of fulfillment, is marketing. So a lot of my calendar is marketing. But for you, if you're getting started, that's not going to be the case. You also have other hats. So just letting you know, if that is you, it doesn't have to look like mine, but I do create a lot of content. So I would encourage you to block off that time. And that's typically, I like to batch it and record all of my content in one day. So for me, it's right now it's Tuesday, so I can come over to my calendar and you'll see that I've got this already blocked off. What am I doing right now? I'm filming content, right? But I'm gonna block this stuff off here, and then I'll also block off a second time period over here where I'll often will write my captions and schedule all the posts. When I started, and this is what I recommend most people do, is having one day a week where you're creating, one day a week where you're doing more of the scheduling, admin, stuff like that. And then as you get more space like me, you might decide to create more content, but don't do that when you're getting started. Like just have one time to create, one time to schedule and write captions, done, okay? So that's the third thing that I will schedule every single week. And then I also have some stuff in here that's like standing meetings, right? So standing calls with teams, with clients. So those things are gonna stay the same. I won't really touch those. Now, before I move on to the second habit, so this first habit here is all around like just owning your calendar and planning your week, because if you can't own your calendar and plan your week and get stuff done, nothing's gonna get done, okay? You have to own your schedule or your schedule is gonna own you. But I wanna share with you one more thing that you'll probably notice here is how things are color coordinated. So for me, this light blue color here has to do with creating content. This purple color here this is more for like business owners, right? Is sales, like my sales tasks. So I hop on 2 out of we do daily sales stand-ups for my team. But I'm not doing sales anymore. I have a team that leads it, but I still hop on 2 of those calls to make sure that I'm still present and know what the conversations are happening outside of like our Slack channel. So I have that, and I also review sales calls since they are pitching my offer. I want to make sure that how it's being pitched and is in alignment with what we're actually doing, both on the marketing front as well as the coaching front. Okay, so that's that. My workouts and any nutrition time and recovery stuff is always red. So it's like my time. Yellow is fun. So like I'll also probably plan some fun and stuff on the weekends. Like I'll make that yellow, but that's time for myself. I also include like learning into that bucket too. For me, coaching is orange. So like right now I don't have a lot of my coaching stuff scheduled for this. It's far out, but like if I have one-on-one calls, those are orange. And then any team meetings are gonna be this like pink color, right? So this is my team meetings that I've got. And then if I have any standing clients like this client here, he gets his own color because I'm working with him pretty actively. And then the last color that I'll mention on here before going to the next habit is this light green. This light green are typically like masterminds or courses or things that I've purchased where I have a standing call myself to get support, right? So this right over here is with our team that helps us run our ads. This one over here is a YouTube call. I'm getting coaching on how to make better YouTube videos. So those are standing calls, and I have those as light green, okay? Ultimately, the colors, how you do them, it doesn't matter as much, but it's really nice to be able to look at your calendar and be like, well, how much time am I dedicating to my health, okay? Now, I would probably schedule out a little bit more if it was closer to that week. And you can also see that most of my time does revolve around creating content right now. And there's also still a decent number of white space that I'll fill up. But it's really, really helpful just to look at it at a moment's glance and be like, this is where most of my time is being spent. Okay, so habit number 1, owning your calendar. All right, that was a pretty long section there and definitely dropped some nuggets. So make sure to watch that section again if it was helpful. Okay, so habit number 2 is gonna be having a productive morning routine. Okay. And when I'm saying productive, I'm not saying sauna, ice bath, meditate, go on a breath work, do something hard. Like you don't have to do that. Okay. You don't have to do that. And I'm going to share with you what I do. And it's actually pretty much, it's opposite of what a lot of people will tell you. Okay. And I'll just be the first to say that. So here's my routine. I'll wake up around 5 to 6 a.m. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my dog out and I'm going to get a cup of coffee. Okay, I might go to a coffee shop if it's open. If it's not open, I'll make something here at home. And once I do that, the first thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna log into my computer and I'm gonna get all the busy work done. Okay, and this is where a lot of people will be like, no, you have to attack the biggest thing first. You're the number one needle mover. And I tried that and I don't like it. I don't like it. Why? Because it feels like I have so many other tasks that are over my head of like, these are things I have to do. So I'm actually the exact opposite. I get all the busy work done first thing in the morning. That revolves around like, charging clients. So like if there's a manual payment I have to make, I'll do that. There's any team communication in Slack that got sent the night before, I will respond to all of those. I will respond and clean out my inbox. I will respond to any DMs. I will do any of the tedious tasks, respond to stuff to clients too. Like if a client sent me a message from the day before, I will respond to all of those in the morning. So if I do this at 6 a.m., I can batch all of that busy work between 6 and 8 a.m. So by 8 a.m., when most people are clocked in and logged in, I'm done. I'm done. Okay. And then the rest of the day, I can focus on these projects. I don't have to spend time in Slack or spend time trying to get responses back. Now, I can do that if I choose, I want to do that. I want to respond faster, but I don't typically want to do that. I want to own my schedule so I can get more stuff done so that I have more free time. Where most people lose time, I'll share this right now and listen to this, is they lose time by constantly checking email, constantly checking Slack, constantly responding to clients really fast. And we create that urgency. We think that we have to respond within a couple minutes or within a couple hours. And for most of us and what we do, we can have a longer response time. We set the expectation when we take a client on that there's a 24 to 48 hour response time. Now, of course, we want to be faster than that, but we set that expectation from the start that it might take us some time to get back. And if you stick with that, which you should, stick with your expectations, you don't need to send as many messages. I promise you, if you do that alone, you will get so much time back. Okay? You could stop the video right now and be like, all right, I'm going to stop doing that. I promise. Okay? So that's the first thing I do. I own my morning. I get all the busy stuff off my plate in the first 2 hours of the day. That gives me the rest of the day open up for projects. All right? So now let's jump into the next habit. Habit number 3. This habit is eliminating all the distractions when you're working on your deep work project. So for example, right now I'm creating content. I don't have any browser pulled up right now besides my schedule and some notes. That's the only thing I have up. Okay. I don't have Slack up. I don't have my email up. I don't have my text messages up. I don't have Facebook, Instagram. None of that is up right now because all of that's going to pull me away, right? Those things are created to spike dopamine so that you go back to them, right? So you don't want to have anything up when you're working on a project. Turn everything off. Like on your phone, I'm not even kidding. Every notification is almost off. There's 2 that are not turned off on here. But your emails, go onto your phone, go into the settings, and you can turn off banner notifications. So that means most of these things, you'll see there's probably one red icon there, and then there's one for text messages, my red icons. But the rest of my apps don't have that. I don't have that for email. I don't have any text message or notification bubbles that pop up for Instagram, Facebook, any of that. I don't do any of that because it's a distraction. And if you see that red dot, your brain is already programmed to answer it. Okay, same thing for my computer. Okay, my computer does not have any notifications for email, for SMS, none of it. Because I want to choose when I want to go into that platform, right? I don't want to be pulled into it because of a stupid notification bar or alert. Okay, so eliminate that. Okay, no browsers, nothing else besides the thing you're working on. Turn off all, and I'm not just saying to turn off all the notifications when you're working. Turn them off, period. I'm serious. This is going to help you so much. Turn them all off. Do not go on there until you consciously choose, I want to go on there to respond to X, Y, and Z. That is how you're going to create a ton more time in your week. Okay, and you might be telling yourself, Matt, I can multitask. No, that doesn't exist, okay? Studies have shown that multitasking will reduce your productivity by upwards of 40%, okay? 40%, we'll just round up to 50%. That means it would take you almost twice as long, not fully twice as long, but almost twice as long to get the same thing done in the same amount of time because you're switching tasks, okay? Don't do it. It doesn't work, okay? Stick to one thing. Eliminate all notifications, eliminate all browsers, and just stick to that one thing. And I want to share with you 3 things that can help with this because I know this can be a really hard thing because our brain is constantly saying, open this, open this, open this. Number 1 is I listen to music. I use studio headphones. These come with the microphone that I have. They're Shure headphones. And when I put these things on, one, I feel like I'm a DJ, but also I can't hear with anyone else in the house. I can't hear my dog. I'm very focused. And that's really helpful for me. right? So that's one thing I do. The second thing that I do that really helps with this is I don't stop that task until it's done. So earlier in the video, when I pulled up the example of if I'm going to do a website or update my website and I block it off for 3 or 4 hours, I'm not going to stop that project until it's done. A lot of times I can update the website in an hour, and the rest of that time that I've blocked off, I can go on a walk. I can go eat food. I can do whatever I want, but I'm going to not stop until that task is done. So that means I'm not going to switch and open Slack or open email until that task is done. Okay, that's huge. And the third thing that I'll do, this is kind of a bonus pro tip here. If it's hard for you to not stay singular focus, you can treat these like work sessions like you would a workout, or like if you guys ever did CrossFit or like functional fitness or Orange Theory or any of this boot camp stuff, you might be familiar with the concept of EMOMs, or every minute on the minute, do this. So you can do that same thing, or another one is AMRAP, as many reps as possible in a certain time domain. And you could do that. You can set a clock and be like, all right, in 10 minutes, I'm not gonna switch off this until this 10 minutes is up. And your timer will ring, ding, 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 ding. And you're like, all right, I'm gonna give myself a minute break. And then I'll come back and do it again. You can set timers on your phone and do that, okay? Or like, I don't know if EMOM doesn't make a ton of sense. That's kind of more of the AMRAP style, but that can be helpful, right? You can train yourself to focus longer. And just like exercise, you just need to progress it. Start with 10 minutes. Do that for a week. Can you do 11 the next week? And then keep training that, right? If you notice yourself wandering, train yourself. Okay, so habit number 4, this is probably the most important habit. Like I said, this one's gonna help me stick to all the other habits, and it's taking more white space throughout the day. White space is time that you're not working, okay? It's time that you're not doing really anything. And during this white space, you're gonna get rejuvenated, okay? Because if I don't take white space, and let's say I've got one block that's content, one block that's updating website, one block that's reviewing sales calls, and I'm doing all this stuff, I'm gonna be tired, and my brain is gonna not have a lot of power and juice left to keep going. So what I can do instead is I can take white space. Typically what my white space looks like for me is I'll turn my phone off, I'll go take my dog, and we'll go walk down the street to the park. Okay, we'll sit in the grass, just breathe, sit there for 5-10 minutes, take a long walk back, okay? And then I can start my next task. So in between tasks, take space for yourself so that you can hit the next task harder, right? Or more focused. And this kind of comes back to the first point where I said, with deep work, you want to have that 3 to 4 hour block, and you don't want to work on projects between calls. If you don't work on projects between calls, you can go take care of yourself, right? During those walks, I have some of the best ideas for content, for our sales process, for how we can help our clients better. And I get that by being unplugged and disconnected. And I want to just preface, I'm not perfect by any means. I use my phone, I'll go on those walks, and half the time I'm over here, I'm trying to look at Slack, and I'll catch myself. And I'm like, do I need to do this right now? Right? Or can I wait on this? Can I set better boundaries with this? Can I set up my schedule to be better about this? That's really where all this goes. It comes back to awareness. How can I create awareness around the tasks that I'm choosing every day? How can I create awareness around the time and where it's going? And is that what I want to be doing? Right? And if it is, that's great. But there's definitely ways that you can optimize what you're doing without adding more to your plate. All right, so that's all I got for today. If you like today's video, go ahead and smash the subscribe button, give it a like, and you can send it to somebody, right? If you know there's somebody who struggles with productivity, send it their way, right? Because the more we can be informed of how to train this muscle of productivity, the more we can focus, and the more focus we can do, the more stuff we can get done. The more stuff we can get done, the more free time we'll have, and the more money that we're gonna make, okay? So that's all I got for today. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll talk again soon. Peace.